Hey there, this is Pam Perry, and we're going to talk about PR. Okay. How do you leverage the PR? If you've been on the cover of a magazine and you want to know what do you do next, maybe you've been on the cover magazine, and then after that, you have a career as a spokesperson or influencer, which has happened to some of my clients, or you have been in something like Fox Soul because you've been on the cover of the magazine. So we'll talk a little bit about how to leverage the PR once you get it, okay? And we'll talk about that right after this.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey, welcome. So this is actually part of the Ready, Set, Go Speak community. So they should be joining us as well. Because the Ready, Set, Go Speak community is really a community that I work with my clients for over a year. Not only do they get the quick media coverage, they get that, they also get to sit with me, answer questions, learn about opportunities, how to leverage the media, all of that. So what we'll do is really kind of like go over what are the things that a person can do once they actually get publicity? Because I get that question all the time. It's like, okay, great, I've got some publicity. So what do I do? So I'll give you some examples and really share my screen a little bit to see one in particular that that made a TV hit. So I'll present and I'm going to share. Hopefully, I can share on this screen and share the screen of and if I do go out, it's because StreamYard won't let me be great, but we're going to say that they will. And I'm going to share Sharon Reed's information, right? Because she was one that actually made a great thing with that. So let's share Sharon Reed's story. All of this has to do with stories. So Sharon Reed, Made with Love. Let's go over here. Made with Love, Sharon Reed. And Sharon was in CEO Weekly. So we're going to go to Sharon Reed's. We're going to present and show you her story. All right, here we go. So you could see that Sharon, just last week, except all the cookies, was just she was in CEO Weekly. So basically like the beginning of February. And Made with Love is her story, her culinary journey from corporate to community hero. Great picture of her, link to her website, which is always important in any PR story, so that you know digital media, digital online publications. This is really where a lot of PR births or grows, because the broadcast will then take a lot of this information and use it for their segment. So we pitched her segment from this story, talks about her path transformed, talking about her catering, her triumph over trials, her menu. There's another great photo of her in the studio. And what's really important down here, if you can see this, yeah, you can see that there is a YouTube link about her on the air on another station. Now, I didn't send straight one station's video to another station's video. They don't like that, but I put in the story, and in case they want to see how she sounds on another news station, it's there as well. So this landed, so she'll be on the Fox News Network at the end of the month, the last day of Soul Food Sunday, talking about heart health and soul food, which is really one of the main things in her community journey that she did during COVID. So that's one story in particular. So that is Sharon's story. Really big success there. Heard another person there come there. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing here. So that was Sharon's story. So just one hit, story told, shared out into a producer who said that's a great story because they can read the story, they can hear her speak, and basically it ended up. So now I have someone whose story is here as well. I'm gonna add her to the stage. There you go. Hey there, Coach
I
P.
love it, Dr. Pam.
How are you?
I am awesome. Thank you so
Good,
much
good.
for having me on today.
So, yes, well, you're part of the Ready, Set, Go Speak community, and you had a story. So, I want to share a little bit about why we're doing this podcast today. Because one of the things is that a lot of people, from Omar to Kawana, like, what do I do with the media hit? So, let me show them your story. I'm going to show them your story, Pamela Luving. So, I'm going to present. Hold on one here. I'm going to share the screen again. And all right, I've got to share it first, but I have to. If I'm gonna click hers off. I'm gonna click off Sharon's, and I'm pull yours up. And so you were in the Women's Journal. So I'm gonna pull your story up, and that just happened on Valentine's Day. So we're gonna pull that up and present your story. And one of the things I will say about all online media, you included, is that horizontal pictures work better. And the reason why is if it's too vertical, then we don't have your head gets chopped off, basically. So this picture worked. We kind of, Kamazing did a great job on this. We had white space on the left and the right. So this one was Pamela Luhing, the coach for women coaches over 40. Direct to the point. It's right in the right outlet. So I want to talk a little bit about that. We've got to have, if you're going to do any kind of media, make sure you match your message to the media. And so we did. This is the Women's Journal, right? So this is the Women's Journal. Obviously, women are reading it. And so you're a coach for women over 40. Now, it's not like you're a coach for everybody. So we want to match the message to the media because that's why they will pick it up. That's why they will write about it. That's why it will be a good story for them. So that's the main thing for any kind of PR. Like, what is a good story for that outlet? Not necessarily what you want to sell, what you are offering, but what story is good for that outlet, for their audience. So this was a perfect match for them. Your photo was perfect. You had the soft hues on there. Obviously, that's great for women. And then it really tells a whole story about who you are and how you got started, and where you came from in terms of giving some stats. It's a $350 billion coaching industry, but you wanted something that was different for professional women coaches over 40. You go into the story a little bit, and it's a lot of words, right? So it's like, what sets you apart in this industry. It gives a little bit of that, but it gives more contact information and where to follow you. Obviously, you're on Twitter and that kind of thing, but it gives a lot for a broadcast outlet to really grab a hold of it and say, how can I pull some of that out in order to have her talk for a 5-minute segment? So now I have a lot more than just, oh, okay, here's my website. And then they've got to figure out the story because they don't have time. But if you give them a story already, they can then, synthesize it down to the segment, or we can send it to a podcast. Now they see more information about you and they can stretch it out for a half an hour or for an hour. So with your story, it really gives a little bit of stats. It gives you about the inception of Powerhouse Unlimited. It was a deliberate mule, fueled by your lifelong affair with entrepreneurship, from your first lemonade stand. And so it gives some visuals, to establishing a business college and becoming a consultant with Mary Kay. I mean, so it gives the steps for a longer podcast, but then it also gives enough segment for like, oh, okay, we want to do something in March for Women's History Month. Let's talk about an entrepreneur. This is a woman who's been an entrepreneur since the age of 8 and what she's doing now, that kind of thing. It gives it like, we'll be back right after that. So it gives it that sound bite that's enough that they can see it versus the website. And we should always send the website, but when we're pitching to the media, the website is not written for media. The website is written to get customers. So it's not telling your story per se. They'd have to dig through it, but a story itself is speaks the love language of the media. So if I send them the website, which is written to get customers to convert, it's not the same as sending it to a producer to get you on the air.
Mhm.
So you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, so what do we send them? So the rule of thumb is when you're doing a broadcast segment, and I don't have Portia's up, but when you're doing a broadcast segment, you don't send a Fox clip to an ABC affiliate, or you don't send an NBC affiliate to a Fox. I mean, that just kind of like is like putting a red flag in front of a bull. It's like, oh, okay, well, you're good. You don't, but you can send a print, or call it print, or online publication, digital media to a broadcast. You can send that. And so when I say the broadcast, you can send it to radio. So if you are in Charlotte, maybe there's a segment that would fit a particular station. So say if it's praise, I think you have a praise station in the Charlotte area.
Mhm.
So there's probably a lot of women listen to the praise, and they probably have some talk segments, usually on the weekend, but you'll find like a segment that you think would be a good fit because you're in Charlotte, you listen to the station, and you know that that particular uh, person that's on air personality, and you know that they like entrepreneurship or whatever. So you send them a short pitch. The pitch would be something like, "Hey, give me the name, Pamela." Just like what a name of someone at Charlotte, radio personality. I can't think of who the praise is on FM.
I have forgotten. I'm sorry. I've just been back 6 months. My
Okay.
apologies.
But one of the on-air personalities in Charlotte, I want to say Praise FM 106, whatever it is. And just say, "Hey, I listen to your show," which you'll start. I
Mhm.
listen to your show, and you're always encouraging women, da da da, this and that. And let her know that you listen. They want to know that you listen. Recently, I was featured in the Women's Journal talking about the same type of thing. Women who need encouragement, women who need coaches, whatever it is, to tie it into them. And now we're using that story as a link. They can
Mhm.
see it's a real link. Send it to them. You don't send it as an attachment or print it out, but you actually send them the link and then say, "Hey, I'd love to come on a segment to talk about," and give them 5 different things that you can pull out of the story that you could talk about. The growth of women entrepreneurs over the age of 40, the growth of coaching industry, why women really need more coaching than say for that target audience praise, why African American women are gravitating towards coaching than any other particular minority, that kind of thing, and just say what's the difference between a life coach, a business coach, just giving her enough bullets to say, okay, well, that will make a good segment. The segment will probably be less than 5 minutes, but she has a whole story that she can pick from, right? So that it makes it sound interesting. So you're
Yeah.
setting up the story for her. So that's one way to leverage it. The other way to leverage it would be this was a particular article that ran in an online publication, but I actually printed it out. Uh-oh. Actually printed it out, and now I have it as a actual one sheeter of the story. And this was in Boyd's, Michigan, front and back. So now I take it and I actually put it in like a book. So if I have a book that I'm an anthology in, the page that I'm the anthology in, I'll take it and I'll put this in there. Because the anthology is 30 authors. So I have a chapter about how to get out there and get known, obviously. And then I actually take this so they know a little bit more about me and put that in the book.
Mm.
So that's just one way to do it. There was another client, Kawana. She was in the uh, magazine, Success magazine. This was like the women's issue. So Kawana, well, getting back to, in order to enter into the magazine, to be one of the featured women, you had to apply. So you have to apply, and you're like one of the women in the issues. So when you are applying for things, they want to see what other media hits you have. And so there's Kawana right there. And there's Dr. Missy down there as well. So they want to know, when you make out this application, there's a call for speakers. And they're asking, what have you done? Okay, you send your website, da da da. You put your one sheet in there. You know, you got little videos, but they also want to know what other things you've done. So we had other press for her. So I'm gonna see if I can share the press that I have for her and present Dr. Kawana's. So she had a, here, that's Yolanda. So this was Kawana. Right, I've got to make sure I don't leave the site, so I don't leave you. I'm gonna close yours out. Go over here. And so Kawana was in ERU Web, and ERU Web stands for Electronic Urban Report. So I'm gonna share what she did. Share this screen. So it was two things that happened. So one of the things is that she was in this issue, which really was introducing her new school that she had. Also talked about her book. ERU Web is the largest African American online publication, right? And so Kawana was in here, talked about her journey, talked about her book, really was launching her school. Then at the very end, it also has another video. So I'll talk a little bit about that. So the video that we have here was when I booked her on the Fox 2, probably about 3 months before. So she was on Fox 2 News here in Detroit, and this is in the article. So many ads on here. That's how online publications make their money, so we can't be mad at them. So it was in the whole article talking about her book, gives a little bit of background, gives a little bit about why this is news. It was on near MLK Day about her Dream Achiever University, and then really like why she has this going on. Okay, so this was really her that tells a longer story. So this segment was only about 7 minutes long, but it gives a whole idea. But that segment came because of another article that we did a few months before that. So I always say media begets media, because the more you have, the more you'll get. So you do layer them on top of one another. So her Fox 2 News story was in her ERU Web story, but this Fox 2 News story only came about because she had another story before that. So it all together. And so when this story actually ran, this one was pitched to BIN, which is Black Information News Network. BIN, Black Information News, and Black Information Network, I'm sorry. And it was they're the radio outlet, news source for just about all African American stations, especially Radio 1 stations. So they are the news channel. So she ran on, I think it was the day after MLK Day, about Dream Achiever University. So that was her thing. So it ran at all these different stations across the country. So even though her school was just in California, that's where the opening was, the commencement was. That's where her story ran. And I pitched the radio producer this story. Okay, so she had enough to pull from. She had a book to pull from. She had a video to pull from. She had her story. She had the website for the school. So they have a lot to choose from when they're trying to put together a segment and story. What they did ask for was B-roll. They said, do you have her really speaking about the school? Because she had a lot of videos and things like that. She's like a rock star on YouTube, but they were really teaching videos. So we needed her to really talk about the school, not necessarily selling the school, but why it was why she started it and that kind of thing. So we didn't have it. What did she do? She created it within a day, and we sent them the YouTube link, and that was what ran. She didn't, the radio host just introed her story, like da da da, Dr. Kawana, she has a school coming up, and then it was bam, her clip. She talked about it, and then then the radio announcer did the end. That was it. So basically, Kawana did all of the work because she did the main part of it, but she wouldn't have even gotten their time of day if she hadn't had the media footprint in the first place. That was really like the whole point. So she did that it's as well. So then that was one. There's other ones as well that I'm looking at over here. Tiffany Bethia, she was in ERU Web. And I'm looking at the one, oh, so say for instance, Vicky was in, she was in Atlanta Wire at first. So she did a little bit different. So her particular article that was written on her, she put it on social media. And that's fine. You should do that. But she put it on LinkedIn, and she put together, probably in Canva, I'm not sure, but it was a little bit bigger than just the headline and what you would share out from the direct link. She created a whole graphic with it, with the headline bigger, a picture of her bigger, a little bit more of, it just had her branding on it. It had her branding on it, but the headline that she was in Atlanta Wire. That was really cool because now it clicked right to the link, but it was a different kind of a header. It was bigger, and and sometimes when you're sharing out a link, it may not share out like really the way you want. So she actually made it match her branding. The other person that had one, I'll show you a share screen here. I want to say Omar. So Omar is actually, I believe, Omar is in Charlotte. Okay, so let me pull up. Omar is in Charlotte. Pull his off. Okay, so Omar is in Charlotte, and he was in the U.S. time. So I'm going to present his. Present, share screen. All right. So Omar was in the U.S. Times, and he went from DEI to JDIA, Jedi. And really how he's defining inclusive leadership in the air. So one of the things that, even though this is an online print piece, it's about him and what he does. Obviously, he's holding the book, right? So it's like, hey, I got to have the book. So the other part that talks about this is that he also shows that he's a speaker. He was at Speak Sell Shine, so he had that graphic in there. And also, too, his sizzle reel. So how this is used from the standpoint is that we use it to send to call for speakers. So call for speakers is like, okay, well, this is who he is. Not just as one sheet. It's one sheet would be fine. Obviously, they want us to do that. But this is an actual story. And the story has embedded his sizzle reel, and it shows the book. And that's really the main thing. It's just like it's reiterating the same thing over and over. But it comes from a standpoint from a news. You see where it says news, from a news source, which has a lot of high domain authority because it's not just your website, but it's from another third-party source. So that's how he uses his. And also, too, if he's applying for book awards and that kind of thing, you can send it there. So that's one of the ways where you're always going to use it. Submit it for awards. Utilize media to submit awards. Things like this, submit to awards. Like I said, Kawana used all of her media hits to get into this. Now, I will say that when they're in something like this, they have a lot of applicants. I want to say it was thousands of applicants, and they used a few hundred. It's the Trailblazers issue, but they do charge for this. So it's like $1,500, but you have to apply, right? So that's how I want to say this. This is how print publications are now different than when I started in journalism and when you started journalism way back at Wayne State University. It's so different now. I mean, because of the cross between digital and physical magazines. Obviously, people don't read as much physical magazines. They read it all online. So they have to do something different in order for people to pick up a publication. The same thing with Nikichi. She was in, let me stop Omar's right here. Nikichi was in this month's February issue. So obviously she's in this issue, and she's promoting her books. She has children's books that deal with African American history. So it's a Black history, but also too, she's leveraging this because it was on a billboard. So it was on the billboard in Times Square. Got a video of her of that. That's on social media, and that really is like a way where she's showing that go read my story. I am on the billboard. Billboard's like 30 seconds. Obviously, you ain't gonna see nothing other than her picture. So it's like it just really promotes that, it amplifies that. And that's what social media should really be, Pamela. It should be just the amplifier. It's not the main thing. So many people spend so much time with their social media, um, over and over, and posting and posting and posting, and it's like, just let it amplify for you. Get the stories like what you have, from the women's journal, and then amplify it in social media. I amplified a story that was written about me. I think it was in the Voyage, Michigan. And let me show you that really quick. I'll take off the mark of how I amplified it. And you could post it. And this was on Instagram. This was for the Instagram. So I'll show it here. Share screen and present. So you could post it in just a picture, but what I did was a video. And all I did was do a screen capture to show the video. It has some music under there, allow me to introduce myself. My name is, Jay-Z doing this thing. So anyway, so I just kind of took the article and ran through it, and then put the link on social media. So it's a way to amplify your story in a different way. So you have a print publication, but it's in a video format on Instagram. I could take it and also put it on LinkedIn or whatever, but it just shows a little bit different about who you are from a different standpoint of just posting. I could have just posted one picture, right? But now I'm posting the article. So it lets people kind of see a little bit, and it goes with music. So people are drawn to the music. I use Jay-Z's music a lot. People know his music, so I use that. But that's just one way to really amplify your story as well, is to do a screen capture on your iPhone, and basically you're rolling the story, and your camera from the screen capture from that is capturing it. Then you save it to your camera roll, and then you upload it. Then you upload the IG, and then you add music. It's like, okay, that was easy. That's kind of like the thing, like that was easy. So that was one of the main things where it was there. So yeah.
Awesome ideas. And as I've shared with you privately, I'll share publicly, you are a Picasso with words.
Oh, thank you.
And I shared this with you, but after I read the article, Dr. Pam, I actually had to sit back for a minute and just take it all in, because my story has never been written like that. And so you capture, I think someone wrote on my social media, Dr. Pam captured the essence of you, your brand, and your business all in one.
And that has to do with really understanding journalism and PR, right? So part of what PR should be is telling the story, but it really should promote you so that you get customers, or you get people who want to work with you. So that's the marketing part of PR. And then there's the storytelling part of PR, and they really have to be together. It can't be too salesy, but it also has to be just a story, and the story has to lead to something. Like, you can't just have a great story. It's like, oh, well, that's great, and then they walk away, and it's like, but how do I work with her? I don't know. So you have to have both of them in there, and that's really like the essence of just really making sure that you have a good story. First of all, that's the main thing, the why, your why. And I pull that out of you, from just pulling it out of when we do the questionnaires, like, what is your why, what's your backstory, and then pull that in with what you currently have going on. in terms of what you're sharing out and that kind of thing. And that's with all of them. I mean, I look at a story with Sharon Reed. Hers is she's a caterer. She's a caterer. She loves food. People know Black History Month. If you talk about the history of Black of food, Black of soul food,
Yeah.
it's not really that healthy. Okay, so our angle was that okay, so Black History Month, we know people are eating maybe way too much fried food. Are there alternative ways of eating the foods that we enjoy as soul food, whether it's macaroni and cheese, fry this, fry that, whether it's I don't know if she can make healthy chitlins. I don't know about that, but whatever it is, she's going to actually show how to make it heart healthy, and with the awareness of being this is Heart Health Awareness Month. So between those two is one of the things that is timeliness about what you're doing, and it's also about the audience that you're trying to reach. So with her, it's DMV because obviously she's in that area. She's a caterer within the area. You got to cook the food within that area. So that's one of the main things. Uh, there's, I look at some of the stories like Omar's story, or even I'm looking at Kimberly Perry. So, or even this was one that I put in there. It was an artist. It was Artist Weekly, and Chisholm. He had come out of prison, had been there, and but while he was in prison, he was painting and that kind of thing. He finally got out. He was released, and now he has this gallery of art that's beautiful. And obviously it's visual, but we had to tell the story first. Like we just can't just like, oh, okay, let's get him on TV. So we told the story. The story was in Arts Weekly, which is one of the ones that hey there's YB there as well, that really talks about his art. And the TV station loved it and they got him on the air. YB, you want me to bring you in? Can you come in? There
Sure.
you go. Hey, there you go. So we're talking about how to leverage PR. So he's another member of Ready, Set, Go Speak community. So he's part of the podcast this week as well. But we were really talking about how you take, and you do this really good. How do you take any piece of content, media hit, and leverage it besides sharing it on Facebook and, Twitter and that kind of thing? Like, what do you do? I mean, you take the link and you share it, but I was showing Pamela how you can even make the link make the article move, right?
Hmm.
Make it a screen share and you just kind of like make it a movie and then add music to it and make it a reel or make it a
Hmm.
TikTok if you want to. I've seen people do a green screen behind them of their image of the article
Hmm.
and they talked in front of it. Actually, I've had someone dance in front of it. So,
Mm.
so they were dancing in front of it and they showed the article and then they came into the screen. It was a green screen, and they came in. They were it was Constance, Dr. Constance Craig.
Yeah, Craig. Yeah, Dr.
Yeah,
Constance.
Constance Craig. So that fit her personality. So
Hmm.
that could be. But you put it in a green screen about the article, how excited you are about having the article, and then you put that on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and that was just one way of doing it. Putting a green screen, and that's really you could do it on a reel or you could do it on a TikTok. It doesn't matter, but you basically take a picture of your article and then you put on the screen in the back, and then you talk in front of it. And I've
Yeah.
done that a few times. And I was just telling them to getting reprints of articles as well is always
Hmm.
good. Even though it's online, get a reprint of it as well. And those can be inside the book. And I was telling her that we do take some of the articles, right? Yep, there we go. And even though we are anthology, we're in here together. I
Yep.
take the article that was written on me and put it in my page.
Hmm.
So that way people will know a little bit more about me than just the short bio in the back. And
Hmm.
those are just some of the ways. And a lot of times when we're submitting for speakers or submitting for awards, we use those links. That's one of the main things. Or paid speaking gigs. Sometimes they'll want to know what in if they're going to pick a speaker and they're pretty much like the same, what will make a difference
Hmm.
is like your media,
Right.
because they know you would bring an audience, that you're more known, that maybe people will heard you. Because the more cachet or the more brand equity you have in your name for that event, the more tickets they will sell.
Hmm.
It's about business. It's like it doesn't matter how great your message is. They're not looking at that point. If they're looking at two speakers that are about the same, that will speak on the same thing, and so they're probably good. But who would I pick? I'm going to pick the person that has more brand equity, more cachet, more name recognition, because they will sell more tickets for their event. That's it. That's really like the main thing. So when you're doing PR, make sure that all of your links are in a media kit, or at least on your website on a media page. On a media page. So if you go to pamperrypr.com, and I'm not trying to be a speaker, a professional speaker, but I do have a media page. And I did the media page to show my clients how to set up a media page.
Yep.
So I just scoured the internet and it was like, okay, where's all my media pieces? And I realized, like, oh my God, there's a lot. So I put all the podcasts together. I put all the print pieces together, so that they're all on a media page. Now a person can actually now get a totality and hear my voice. They can hear from 5 years ago up until now. The other thing is, when you have a piece of media that the publicist can do for you, is to put you on a billboard. So Nikiti is actually on a billboard this month in Times Square. So that's just another way to amplify. The thing about any TV interview that we have, any print piece, we see it, but not other people will see it. So how do you make sure that they're going to see it? Something we do every day, all day, 2 or 3, 4, 500 times a day is email, right? We get email, we see email. So make sure in your email signature, don't make it so long that it's a book, but put a link in there that just says recent news. Click it.
Right.
Click it. They may not have seen it. Probably they have not seen it. I call this the type of era that we're in, that we are used to ignoring, because if we try to take in everything, we'll go crazy.
That's right.
So put a little link that says recent news. That's it, and put the link in there. The other thing I have, if you're going to a conference, and we all go to conferences and things like that, is that create a little card, just like this kind of card or whatever, and put the QR code to your media thing, okay, to your media page or your media kit. Or if you don't have a media kit, at least a QR code to that particular article so that people can read it. It helps when you're going out and you don't give people a business card. They don't really do anything with it. But if you give them a QR code to your media kit or to your if it's a really good interview, hey, did you see me on Fox Soul? No, I didn't. Okay, well, here it is right here. Here's the link to it. Just scan this code. I mean, that's just a way to do that. I have a client that's going to NRB next week, National Religious Broadcasters, besides some other folks that will be there. Trump. But I said, when you go to NRB next week, I said, you have a movie. He has an actual movie called Match Made, and you have some other, a speaking reel. I said, because he said broadcasters, I said, make sure you put the QR codes on there to the movie where they can actually see it, and also your speaking reel. So he thought that was a good idea. He has enough time to get it together, because this is Friday, so it's next Thursday. So he can put that together. And I said, on your sizzle reel, as many eyes on it that we can get on it as often as we can, all the time. And why do you have a really good one from Speak Sell Shine? So we need to put that QR code so people can go to it directly everywhere on everything, everywhere on napkins, everywhere on everything, because that's how people are going to know what you sound like and know that they can hire you, because it has your website at the end and all that kind of thing. So that's one of the main things. Reprints, always a natural thing to do. The other thing you want to do is, maybe when you are attending events, to, besides the postcard and the QR code and that kind of thing, but when you're attending events, to making sure that there's some kind of promotional item, and I know that's kind of old school, whatever, but like this was from a conference I went to. I still use this cup. This is from Eco, but something. Well, you have shirts, don't you, YB?
I do. Yeah. Well, hoodies. I have hoodies, which I'll be upgrading to polos. I'm a firm believer in making sure I wear my brand. You know, I learned that from Eric Thomas. It's like if you have your own gear, you don't have to worry about buying a whole bunch of other stuff. So just
Yep.
have your own stuff, and then
That's
but
PR.
I'm not,
PR 101.
and then just be a walking billboard. Just be a
Yes.
walking billboard. You know?
Yes. And I tell people sometimes if you're an author, and Kim Brooks did this as well, that the cover of her book was the front of her t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was just something. I mean, if we don't promote our stuff, who's going to promote it?
That's right.
So just having gear, having some kind of you know, whether it's cups or, you know, during the time I remember during COVID, people had masks. So instead of wearing a mask,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
This is really good promotion because you're going to see that first, right? I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I had a YB Connects mask. It just had the YB with the circle. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, come on, man, we got to maximize the moment.
Mm-hmm. That is it. And people have maximized that moment. So that's one of the main things where you're going to events and things like that. So have things like that. The other thing is making sure that if you have the publicity hits, the places where your audience will be, they need to see it. So without sounding bragging, just happen to say, did you see it? And it could be in your LinkedIn groups. Okay. Because we posted on LinkedIn, but you know, everybody in the group ain't connected to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to put it in the groups that you're part of because they may not have seen it because they're not a first connection with you. So you want to do something like that as well. And I always say that media begets media. So the more media that you get, pile it or layer it on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
You have a sizzle reel, make sure your sizzle reel goes into your press release. The press release goes into an article. The article then has your reel and the links to your other art. You know what I'm saying? You're layering it on top of it. So it's not just a one-off all the time, but they're always snowballing. You're always snowballing those things. Those are so important. I think about it, you know, and I look at some of the articles of people who have had some things before. Think about Eric. So Eric was the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand. I believe he was in this particular article. And I always ask, you know, this is such a great article that it was in Kivo Daily. So let me share this one of Eric. He's in our group as well. And so this, now he saw it once, I saw it once, you guys probably saw it as well, but there's a lot of people that probably didn't see it. So this is his moniker. He calls himself the mayor of motivation, you know, and make sure that it's on his website. But you want to make sure in so many ways that people understand that he is that. So once, you know, share it out different ways. Like I'm just scrolling it like that. He can make a video of it that way. You know, that's one way of doing it. The other ways is just making sure that you send it out to your email list. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things, you know, I talk about that all the time about your email list, making sure that your email list say, hey, just recently in the news, or did you see this? Or did you miss it? It's just a way to let people know because it's one of those media hits that's evergreen. It's in Letitia Nicole, she had a media hit and hers was talking about her conference. Her conference sold out. So that's one part of a article that you can have written where it's like it's for a certain purpose because you have an event that you want to sell. But with the mayor motivation, that's evergreen. Yours, Pamela, is evergreen. You know, YB, yours are evergreen. So, you know, it just depends. There was Yolanda, she did one branding brilliance with Yolanda M. Smith. You know, so those are pieces that every time she runs a challenge to pull those pieces back out.
Right.
Instead of saying, I have a challenge, I have a challenge, I have a challenge, and you're promoting the challenge, promote that there's a story about me in branding. And now I have a challenge. You know, so you want to, in your postings of social media, which is really, it's educating and entertaining, but you also want to let people know about your credibility of a story being told. So those are the main things I really want people to understand. Use them for awards, use them for speaking gigs, use them in your email, making sure that when you have an event, so Pamela, you may have an event or YB, you may have an event, And a lot of times the events you'll have a sponsor. So Tiffany Bethia, she used it as well. She says, well, I want to get some sponsors for my event. Well, they only got like maybe 50 to 100 people there. So it's not a lot of people at the event, but you can leverage the PR and says, but there will be PR going on. And so I can talk about you as a sponsor in my press.
Right.
Then it expands it. So it's not just the people at the event that know about it, but now she's using it in her PR. And that's really with anything for anybody who's going after sponsors. The sponsors do want to support your event. They love your event, but they're really trying to get the PR. So you give them the PR. It can be Nationwide Insurance. It could be whoever it is. You want to make sure that they're getting the PR in there. That title sponsor is such and such. I forgot what it is. Whoever it is, Coca-Cola. If they're sponsoring something, if they put down the money, you're gonna know that it's the Essence Festival sponsored by Coca-Cola, whoever it is, right? Because they're giving them the PR. So it's the same thing with your articles. You're making sure that, and this event is sponsored by. That way you always have money because they'll always, okay, well they promoted us. Yeah, so that's the thing. But the Damon Chisholm in the Artist Weekly was probably my favorite one because I want to say they contacted me on Tuesday, and the following Tuesday he was on television with this story. His story was about his art, but he was also incarcerated for 20 years. So it was a very good, heartwarming story about how someone can really redeem and rebuild their life. And the artwork was amazing. So that was good. And so he had a lot of B-roll as well. There is two things I want to say before we kind of, I'm not looking at the comments. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me go over here. Is making sure that we have horizontal pictures. Okay, horizontal pictures and B-roll. B-roll could be your sizzle reel footage that you didn't use, because they want to show you, they want to voice over footage that while you're on the air, like you're sitting in the studio, that they have footage in the background and it's footage of you. Maybe you're speaking at a book signing or something like that, but have B-roll. So when they say, do you have any B-roll? You give them like 5 or 10 minutes of B-roll of footage. It doesn't have to be like you speaking directly to you. The sound doesn't have to be that good. They just need good B-roll background footage. So that's always important that you have that. The other thing too about going on a set, even though, and you kind of said this, alluded to this a little bit, YB, even though we may have our own gear, sometimes, and you said this too, that you may want to go in there with your hoodie on, but you may want to bring a jacket. Why? So explain the situation.
So I at first my mindset was, hey, I'm coming on the set with my gear on, but underneath I had my shirt and tie and I was carrying a suit jacket. And when I got there, I asked the young lady, I said, which do you prefer? She's like, yeah, I need you to dress up. I said, no problem. I went into the phone booth, turned into Superman.
That was it.
My thing. And then when I was done, I went back in the phone booth, took my stuff off, and walked out with the hoodie. Right. So, but you just never know. But we've been taught as men, it's easier to dress down than it is to dress up. So I come in dressed up, and I can always dress down. But if I'm coming dressed down, it's tough to dress up. So but that was my very first interview for the year, and it went off without a hitch. And to talk about the B-roll, she asked for some videos, and she took some of my best. I mean, the one that I did in Columbus with the National African American Insurance Association. I mean, that was like the best. That's like the best video ever cut for me. Like, I'm like, bow down to the person who caught to capture the footage, but to have all of the other stuff. And that's why I think as a speaker, as we speak, even if we don't get the check that we want to get, somebody's got to be capturing the footage, because the footage is going to be used later on to help us to secure other opportunities and other money. So Yeah, but definitely came with the hoodie. Plus, it was cold. I'm in Lynchburg. I'm like, I'm wearing the hoodie. I'm representing the brand.
But you do want to dress emulating the set,
Right.
or who is interviewing you.
Right.
Now, obviously, if it was like back in the day, 106 in Park or something like that,
Yeah.
you wear a hoodie. But if it's like it's a new, so you want to dress that. One of the things too, and Eric does this as well, like you may have a magazine cover, and just like you may have a book, you want to always have that in the background of your Zoom. That's PR as well, because people are like, oh, what is that? Now,
Right.
Brian always cracks up and tells us a lot of times he'll carry this with him in the car. He said if he's ever stopped by a police or anything, he'll just like, do you realize who I am? That kind of thing. But I would recommend that. But you do want to, any kind of marketing pieces that you have, you can leverage them and make them more marketing pieces. You could take this and make it, print it out, make it a blow up, put it on a one sheet, make it a billboard. Those are like one of the things. I want to show you one last thing. And this was, actually, I do this a lot for clients. So this was, I write for this particular publication was art. This one was just vocal media. So it was in the art section. So vocal media, I wrote about Faith, Film, and Love, Andre Butler out of Detroit, Match Made debuts on Tubi. And so this is a video, the trailer of that. And really, one of the main things is the trailer. It talks a little bit about a story, why this pastor created this movie. It gives a whole lot about who he is, great picture of him. So what I did with this is I actually sent this to Channel 4, NBC affiliate, to the movie reviewer. And he got interviewed, right? So I could have sent him the clip. I could have sent him his bio. But if it's all together in one thing, it's just like, oh, okay. And it's actually there and I can click it and it's very simple and I see how he looks and that. So then it worked, right? So he actually did a movie review with him on the NBC affiliate here in Detroit. So a lot of it has to do with, relationships, the story, but how easy is a story for them to consume and make it easy for them. I always say that's what we want to do. We just want to make it easy for them. So the more words we have for them, the more they can choose to really make a segment. The pitches, Pamela, are just a way for them. They have the whole story, but you're really bulleting what you think you see for them to do.
Right.
We're kind of doing their job, but it's like they're so busy. So if we send it to Praise, your station out there, and just say, hey, this is something I think you should do. Women's History Month. Maybe you spotlight women entrepreneurs once a week. I'd like to be one.
Yeah, 100.9. That's it.
Yeah. What is it?
100.9. I just thought of it.
Yeah, I knew it was like 10 something. Yeah, yes. And so basically now we go to Praise 10.9, right?
100.9.
102.9.
No, I think it's 100.9. 100.9.
Okay, 100.9.
Radio station, gospel station. Yep, that's it.
Right. So basically, we go to, just like we would do with anything. I'm gonna just share how we find them because I don't know them. I know of them. I know every market has like a Praise station. So I'm going to Praise 109 and go to their home. And so now I see there's a Melanie Pratt. I probably will follow her on Twitter to hear what she's about. She's their midday. Willie Moore Jr., he's their afternoon drive. And then Darlene McCoy, which is 7 to 11. So probably Melanie Pratt will be the one that will do more like the local thing, because I think Willie is national and I think Darlene McCoy is national. So within your area, you should probably look at Melanie, right? That's like where she is. She's at 100.9. She was a stellar nominee, this and that. She's the board of directors. So the more you know about her, just like we have in Ready, Set, Go, Speak, right? The more you know about people, it easier it is. She has her Instagram, she has her Twitter, she has her Facebook. You even see what church she goes to. If you want to be bold, I say sometimes, just show up at a church. I have done that. It's like, hey, you didn't answer my call. How you doing? Praise the Lord. They like, this PR person is aggressive.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, when you really know you have a good story that fits somebody and you just need their attention, put the book in their hand, put the flyer in their hand, show up, give them the QR code, whatever. Because it's like, I know this will be good for you. What are you so busy doing?
Mm-hmm.
You're not paying attention. So I would say get on Melanie Pratt.
Okay.
Send it to her and just say, hey, Women's History Month is coming up. What are you doing? I'd like to come in the studio. If not, she can do it by phone. I mean, radio people. But a lot of times since you're there, I think you should go into the studio. Whenever, this is the other thing, of leveraging PR. We'll get a few minutes. Just like you did, YB. If you're in the studio, take the pictures. If you're in the studio for the radio, take the pictures. Do all the branding stuff they have there. That matters. Then that's the part that amplifies that you're on the air with them. So I would tell people to amplify everything as much as you can. You take the content. You don't have to use it all that day, but use it later. So if you're in the radio station, get a tripod, and videotape yourself live, because you'll be at the thing. So you could do that as well. So those just like little things of amplifying PR, but you want to make sure that you're doing that. So yeah, so that's good. And Tariq Donaldson, she did a really good. She was on the cover. She was on the billboard. She's the first person we had on the billboard. So she's doing really good in terms of amplifying the thing. I will say that if you can, any print media that you've had, figure out a way to make it video and make them shorts on YouTube. Whether you put it in the green screen or you scroll it, that kind of thing, or you scroll with a voiceover, that could be is fine. But shorts, YouTube shorts, I'm just saying, 2024, we're going to dominate that YouTube, and shorts are the things that they're really trying to come after TikTok about. Right. So yeah, so we want to make sure we're doing that. So yeah, so that is what we have for today. Leveraging our PR, because once you get it, it's supposed to work for you. It's supposed to work for you, and it builds. It's not like it's a sales tool. It's not like people are going to click the button and buy, but it builds your brand visibility, makes people trust you quicker, right? Because now they can read about you. So, you can send somebody an ad and it's like, but if they send you a story, it's like, okay. And even if people you don't know, if I want to connect with someone on LinkedIn, sometimes I'll just send them a LinkedIn message. Hey, I'd like to connect with you. Here's a little bit about me. And it's a real news story. I mean, that's better than send them your website.
That's right.
I ain't reading a website. Like, I got a website too.
That's right.
But send me a story. Then I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So that would be good. But yeah, any other questions? Ready, Set, Go, Speak.com. Join us in the community. You all know that I give you all a lot of information in the community, a lot of leads, the places to pitch. Make sure that I'm always trying to add to that as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are amazing, Dr. Pam, as always. I admire you. I really, really just, your style resonates, and you are so full of integrity, which is so beautiful in what you do and how you do it. You represent well. And hey, you can't get rid of me. I'm hanging on to your coattail.
You are Coach P, Coach Pamela. So we're together on this. We're together on this.
But see, every coach needs a coach.
We have the same type of mentor that we just both love and adore. That Gloria Mayfield Banks.
Mayfield Banks. She was my national executive sales director.
I don't know. She had me out there selling lipstick. I just love it because she's so motivating. She's Gloria Mayfield Banks. She is just amazing. Yeah. She's from Detroit too. So yeah, that's it. But yeah, thank you guys. The main thing is that we leverage the PR, making sure that we're putting it in our email, sending it out to our email list. That more than once. Something you had last year, send it out again this year. Trust me. They probably forgot they saw it, and then the last people didn't even see it. So do it again. Yeah, that is it. And if they did see it and they saw it, it's like, well, share it.
That's right. That's
right. Somebody said, you sent me that already. Well, share it.
Share it.
Did you share it? Did you share it?
Yeah, you saw it, but did you share it? That's the thing.
Right.
I ask people, since you saw it, did you share it? It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Okay, yeah, you do that. So
Yes.
cool. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining me today.
Yeah.
This is really, really good. Well, I will catch you all in the community, and this, any questions and things like that, you guys got my ear. Okay.
Appreciate you.
So
Be
much.
encouraged. All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
Have a great
All right,
weekend. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Make sure you share, and if you're ready, set, go, speak. Join us over there. We are there 24/7, and we will answer all your questions and get you out there and get known. I'm Pam Perry. Talk to you later.